Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video will be on this monostrap gown. Is that what it's called? If this is your first time of stopping by, hi, nice meeting you for the first time. Please join the amazing family, and to my new subscribers I say thank you very much for all your support, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up. So let's get straight into the video. So for this style I'm using 2 yards of fabric. So for this tutorial I'll be marking first on my pattern paper because of the style, and my pattern paper is folded into 4. It's folded into 2, sorry. So I'll be marking with 2, so it's more like a full bodice. You're not marking half because of the style, just like I mentioned earlier. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to mark a straight line to serve as our starting point. Once I am done with that, from this line I'm going to take my half length, and this style is for a 8 to 9 year old, so my half length is 13 inches. All allowances will be added when we are transferring this to our fabric. So I'll mark a straight line, and then once I'm done with that, for my bust point I'm going to be dividing my shoulder measurement by 2, which is 6 inches, but I'll be adding half inch because I'll be taking out half inch for my shoulder slope. So I'll be marking 6.5 inches, and also the half inch is also so that it won't be very fitted at the armhole area. So I'll make a straight line. Then for my neckline I'm marking 3 inches for the width. I'll just make a point there. We are not marking the neckline yet, so I'll just make a point there. Then I'm going to go ahead and measure my half of my shoulder measurement, which is 6 inches. So I'll connect it to my bust point. Remember I said all allowances will be added when we are transferring this to our fabric. Then for my bust point, my bust is 30 inches, so I'll be marking quarter of it. That's my bust measurement divided by 4, which is 7.5 inches, right? And then I usually add half inch or 1 inch to my style when it comes to children, because I don't usually like their clothes very fitted. They are growing, so you need just tiny bit of allowance to grow. They can grow into. The half inch is not so big, so it's not going to be like oversized. It's just a tiny allowance to it. So I'll connect my armhole. Then for my waistline, sometimes children waist are bigger than their bust, so for my own is a bigger by half of an inch. So because we have 8 inches here, so I'll just mark 8 and 8.25 here to make up for the waist measurement, and then I'll connect this line. So the difference is not quite much for this measurement, so I'll connect the line. When you look at it, you see that the measurement, the difference is not much. So I'll be using this pattern to cut out the back one, the same thing. While transferring it to the fabric, that's when I'll be adding my zipper allowance. So I'm going to be cutting out this same pattern for my back bodice before. So guys, this is what we have after I'm done cutting it. So I'll go ahead and make sure I have a line here so that I'll know the center back, so you can see the line that I'm talking about. So this is our center back, so when I want to slash it, I'll know where to slash from. So I'll place these two together this way, making sure that every side of it is well placed, and monostrap effect to be on the left side. I'm going to be starting from this left side. Remember that this is our neckline, right, that we took for 3 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and connect it to the armhole, because when you look at the style, you will see that the effect is into the armhole. So I want to place this pin at another side so that it doesn't block us when we want to connect. So I'll go ahead and place my ruler and connect this. So guys, this is what we have. So I'll go ahead and cut it out. I'm going to be showing you guys the reason why I am cutting the back bodice this way. So let's cut out this first. So once I cut that out, I'll take out my front bodice, and then from that line that we tried to create earlier, I'll try to get it. So this is one side of the back and this is the other side of the back. So I'm going to be adding my zipper allowance, which I'm going to be telling you the reason for doing this by the time we want to transfer this to our fabric. Why? So guys, this is the front pattern. As you can see, I've transferred it to my fabric. My fabric is on fold. I'll be using one as my lining piece. Listen, behave yourself. So I'll be using one, and you can see I added half-inch stitching allowance all around. At this point, I added 1 inch. I might cut it off afterward. Then I added ½ inch and also to the shoulder. And I also went down by ½ inch for the shoulder slope. I forget to mention that earlier. Then for the back, which is where we have most issues, especially in the zipper allowance. So let's work on that. Sorry for my table, it's kind of small this morning. So you can see this is the one of this bag. This is the center back, so I added 1 inch stitching allowance. So this back, you're not going to be slanting it. You see the way I slanted this the neckline while covering it. If you do it this way, I hope you guys can see. If you do it this way to connect to the other side of the back, you're going to find it very difficult to connect this to fix your zipper. So what you're going to be doing is to first of all add your stitching allowance. So once you get to the zipper allowance, you're going to connect your zipper allowance this way. You see why I connected it straight. You're not going to slant it to connect to this other side of the back. So you're going to do it this way. So for this other side of it as well, you get to your zipper allowance. I hope you guys can see. Okay, you get to your zipper allowance, and this is where your zipper allowance ended. So what the first thing I'm going to be doing is to add my stitching allowance at this upper side of it, ½ inch. So once you add your zipper allowance, at this point that we have your zipper, you still do what? Connect it straight this way. I hope you can see. So this is our zipper allowance. If you slant it, you're going to have issue, just like I mentioned. So I'm going to go ahead and add stitching allowance every other side of this before we cut it out. So that's the so watch closely so you see how I'm going to cut this out. And my fabric is also folded into two. I'm using the same fabric for my lining, but if you want to use a different fabric for your lining, you're going to be cutting one piece of this off of all this pattern. I hope you get this. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to cut out the zipper allowance straight, and then I'll then continue with other side of this pattern. So guys, this is what we have. So by the time it overlaps with the zipper, is going to, okay, let me fold in the zipper inward. So by the time it overlaps, this is what you're going to be having. So you can see the pattern is equal, everywhere is equal. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch this way to this neckline, and also stitch the armhole. For this other side, I'm going to stitch the neckline and then the zipper allowance. And then for the front bodice, I'm going to be stitching this way. I'll stop here and then I'll stitch the armhole area. So for this style, I'm using 2 yards of fabric. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier. So I took out my bodice, and then the remaining part of the length is what I have here. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to run a loose stitch for this skirt part. I have my pin holding it, so I run a loose stitch and then gather it, and also hem this part. I will serge it and then fold it in by ½ inch. So you just hemming it. If you don't have a serging machine, just do what? Fold into 2 and stitch all the way. So guys, this is what we have, and I also turned it to the right side. So this is it. So at this point I've already placed it front facing front, and then this is the other side of the back. So I'll just turn it to the right side and keep it aside till whenever we need it. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to open up is to arrange this way, and then I'll go ahead and stitch it down. Or you can just open up your lining, the back lining, and then you put your hand inside it and flip all the shoulder pieces inward. So once you flip it in, you arrange it well and then you stitch. So guys, I went with the latter, so I've already stitched this down. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it to the right side. So this is what we have afterwards. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to place this way, front facing front, and then I'll go ahead and stitch it down. Make sure I arrange my fabric down, stitch it down by the allowance you added, or you can just remeasure it. And then for this other side, I'll also arrange it well, place it this way, and then I'll stitch down. So guys, this is it after I was done with attaching the two sides. So the next thing I'm doing is to just fold the fabric into two, making sure that the side seams are placed well, and then I'll fold it over again. So what I'm trying to do is to cut out a strap of fabric that will be here. So this is what we have. So I'll bring a piece of paper, sorry, and I'll place it this way, making sure that the shoulder area is well aligned. So I'll go ahead and I just hope that this thing doesn't transfer ink to my fabric. So this is what we have. So I'm just going to trace it well. The line is kind of slanted, it's not a straight line. So this is what we have. So I'll go ahead and cut out this fabric. It's going to be on fold. So guys, I cut out a strap of fabric for the bow. So we have two bow, one for the waist and one for the shoulder. So I'm going to turn this to the right side. I'll stitch down this way, and then I'll be leaving about 2 inches opening to turn it to the right side. Then for the, remember my fabric is on fold. For the width of the bow, we have 4.5 inches, and then the length is 5.5 inches. So I have 2 of it. And then this fabric that we just cut out, this is what we have. So remember I said it's going to be on fold so that it can move from the back to the front. So this is what we have. So this is what we have for it. I added stitching allowance at this side. So this is for the lower side, which will be attached to the fabric, and this is the upper side, which is the shoulder. So I just added stitching allowance at this side. This shoulder is on fold, there's no stitching allowance there. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to stitch this way, stitch this way. I'll be leaving an opening here to turn it to the right side. Okay guys, I'm done stitching, attaching the skirt part or the gather part to the bodice. This is what we have afterwards. So you can see it's coming pretty together, pretty well together. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to bring in this strap of fabric that we measured. When you look at it, you see that one side is longer than one side. So this longer part will be on this shorter part of the fabric. So I'll go in by about 3 inches. I'll place this. So I'm top stitching this. We didn't do inseam finishing. So I'll place it this way and top stitch it. Then at this side, I'll then fold in by 1/2 inch that we left open to turn the fabric to the right side, and then I'll go in from the armpit area to about 3 inches, and then I'll also go ahead and then top stitch it. Once I am done, I'll close up my zipper allowance, and I'll attach my zipper. And then the bows, I believe you all know how to attach the bow. Please, if you don't know how to make bows for fabric bows, please leave a comment below and I'll do a tutorial on that. So I'll go ahead and attach the bow on the shoulder and then the waist, and so guys, this is what we have. So after I'm done attaching the 2 bows and then the strap of fabric, so this is what we have. I hope you find value in this video. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. You can see our zipper is aligning. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, share with family and friends, and I'll see you in my next video.